Again, in different places you can do it, high school gym, a community center. I don't know, I'm thinking there's lots of different places that you can do these things at. A mall, right? So the mall, our local mall was interested in doing it for a while. We were doing a bigger event, but you could very easily do this in a mall. Especially if you have one of those malls like we have near us where half the stores are dead, right? So they're looking for ways to do different events in them and to revitalize them. And then here's some of the other things you can do. Invite in your engineering firms and the different companies that are in the area to do demos, right? Bring in and show what they do. There's a company near us that does, has a lot of manufacturing, like robotic arms and stuff. Guy loved coming out to show. I'm going to invite Ross over to put the robots out and the stuff out for our event. People love showing off what they do, right? They love showing off their companies. And if you can start reaching out to these companies and your only ask is, can you come out and share what you do with our students? Later on, you can have the more important ask with them. Can you work with our students, right?
And it's not an ask,
right.
One of my favorite sayings is this is an offer, not an ask. I'm not here to ask you for something. I'm here to offer you exposure for your company to an important talent stream. I'm here to offer you exposure of your company to the parents that support this technology. So this becomes PR for these companies. Mm-hmm. This isn't something that, oh, we're going to help these kids out. These kids are helping them out. They're getting their name out there. They're getting the warm fuzzy of our industrial nasty factory is helping kids become engineers.
Yep.
So it's definitely it's a win-win for everybody involved.
So these are some examples of other things you can do. Our all-star skills competitions, accuracy challenge, right? If you don't want to do the full event, accuracy challenges. I remember the basketball competition, right? Fling those as far as you can, or hit targets or whatever. Human player, robot tic-tac-toe. There's just a bunch of stuff. Obstacle courses. You can create obstacle courses instead of having the full field. Special challenges related to the previous season's game. It doesn't have to be like, this year's game. With the cubes, when you do that as an off-season, do stacking challenges. Who the heck cares, right? Make patterns and designs out of them, all sorts of different things you can do with these. And host an informal lunch and pair up local business leaders. Again, the whole idea of this, if you want to really kick this up into, an off-season of meaning, is to engage with your community. And it is to invite your school board. Consider your community and what the biggest need is in your community. Right? So is it when you're trying to work with sponsors? How many of you have trouble getting sponsors for your teams? All right. What do you think the biggest problem is when you're trying to reach out to sponsors? Just throw it out. Why don't you think they respond? Or what do you think the challenge is? Okay. Yeah.
They're inundated with requests from everywhere.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But if you turn this around and just invite them to a showcase, right, where you're not asking them at the beginning to do anything other than come out and share what you do, right? Or just invite them to the luncheon. We don't even want anything from you. We want you to come out and have lunch with us. There's a couple different approaches to that. And if it's a school district challenge, invite the school district, invite the school board, and invite your superintendent. And I know it's a mixed bag, right? Because our biggest challenge in our area is our STEM director, right? STEM director is the biggest obstacle to STEM in our county. It happens, right? And every now and then he'll come out to the event and he'll shake a lot of hands,
He's good in the suit.
Yeah, he looks really good in a suit. He comes out and he shakes a lot of hands, and we get nothing, right? However, he can only ignore us for so long, right? And we've reached a tipping point where you don't give up. You don't just do this as a one-off. That's what happened with the old off-season. You don't just do this as a one-off, or a couple. It's like, we're not getting anything out of this, we're done. The only way these things have impact is if you keep doing them year after year after year after year and keep the conversation going. And I will guarantee you, if you can keep it going for past 3 years, it'll start tipping, right? You become something that they can't ignore anymore. And then after a while, you have groups that they don't want to be left out of being in the event. So we tried for 4 years to get Jabil on board. Jabil is a big electronics company. It's a huge electronics company. Tried for 3 or 4 years, couldn't get them. It's like, oh, we don't do this, we don't do that. They have a company, they have a charitable arm called Jabil Cares. They didn't care about FIRST. And so we tried everything. And then I received an award a few months back in the fall, and we actually ended up sitting in we went to a hockey game, and we were sitting in the Jabil Care, in the Jabil suite. So we're sitting up there, and the Jabil people come over, and they have the food for you. Tell us what you do. It's like, oh, I'd love to tell you what we do. Like, we got to be part of this. It's not worth saying we've been trying for 4 years, right? So you just say thank you. And then we went back and forth for another 2 months, and then they finally ended up putting $5,000 into this year's event. They're not going to turn back. They're going to keep supporting the event, right? And because Jabil's on board, now we got Jabil splashed on our website, the others are going to come on board. So again, it's not easy, it's not fast, you scale up as you go, but it is important that if you want to create this type of support community that enables you to have things like a robotics center, because now you've got enough momentum behind you, that you have to do this over and over. So some best practices: collaborate. You can't do it by yourself, right? You cannot do these things by yourself. So find out who your champions are in your community and work with them. So if you've got like 3 champions in your community, start small. And if you can only do an event in the library, do an event in the library, right? So Chuck is actually a librarian by work trade, and we have First Robotics competition teams in the library system. They're based in the library. We have First Tech Challenge, we have First Cycle League Junior. If that's your base of support, then work with that, right? If your base of support is your school or a friend's school, work with that. And then bring in those champions and start with what you can do and then build up from there. We do a post-event report every year. That thing, the county and the school district and the University of South Florida love the post-event report, because every year they can look at that and see what's advanced. And I have an example of that I'll show you in a minute. So that's really, really important for them. Very clear team and exhibitor communications. We send out communications the whole time. So it's just like when you're going to an event, you get communications from here. We have very clear communications to students and to sponsors. We have an event program. We use Eventbrite. Keep it fun, right? Music and dancing. If your event is like a half-a-day event, dance for half of it. Who cares? You want to show people that you can do stuff, that it's a lot of fun to be part of. And then support from First Field staff and partners is critical and not always forthcoming. And I will say that can be difficult, because depending on where you are, depending on the bandwidth for First, they may or may not be able to support. But especially if I'm being recorded, I'm going to say it really strongly. It's really, really important that if we're going to have these kinds of events that draw support to First, we need help from First to do them. We've been very fortunate with Roboticon, especially with Ken Johnson, who has been actually absolutely exemplary in his support of the program. Last year, First helped us with Google AdWords, our Google AdWords campaign, to help drive support to the event, because Ken sees it for what it is, which is a fantastic recruitment and awareness raising tool for First. So have that conversation with your district partners or your regional partners about what you want to do. And then keep going until you can get some conversation with folks there about that. Again, our post-event report, this is your most valuable tool, especially once you get past your second or third season in your off season, is metrics. And so we do this post-event report. These are all the things we put in there. We actually tally up the amount of economic impact our event brings to the Hillsborough County area, and we figure that we invest anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 in the community by doing this event every year. And so those are important numbers, right? So we get hotel room counts by working with American Express travel group. We can give them bed counts. In our post-event survey, we ask students, where'd you spend money? We ask teams, where'd you stay and what did you buy? Where did you shop? Where'd you eat? Right? And I give all that information back to our county and say, look, we had 1,500 students here from all over the state, a couple from out of state, and they shopped here and they ate here and they went to Busch Gardens, which is like down the street, or for some reason everybody comes to our area and goes to the Container Store. I have no idea. That's a big one. Everybody goes to the Container Store. But the Container Store likes hearing that, right? And so we can message that back into the community about what's being really popular and what people are enjoying.
It's important that you craft your message to who you're speaking to. So we're trying to reach out to the community to get the message at First. We're trying to reach out to business to get their support. You can't use the same tactic to talk to business that you use to talk to people, that you use to talk to government. Governments and business want numbers. They want metrics. You can go there with all the emotion and all the smiling pictures of kids and all the, wow, this kid went on to do this. Doesn't matter. They want numbers. They want economic impact. Yeah. Same with school boards. School boards need to know numbers. Everything is quantified. Now, the emotional star is great. That's how we sell it to the people. The smiling kid pictures are great for the posters. They're great for the flyers. They're great for our social media.
Get the public at the door, yeah.
But, you got to tailor your message to who you're trying to reach, whether it's government, private industry, individuals, education.
Yeah, and so this is an example of the corporate involvement we've gotten. Last year, we brought 8 new corporate partners on board who had, like Lockheed Martin's on there. They've been involved in first before, right? We all know that. And, you know, obviously Green Mouse. But Wish Farms. Wish Farms is a huge, you probably all eat food from there and don't even know it. So it's one of the biggest strawberry and blueberry farming companies in the country, right? So they comes out of the food belt of our area. And they have agricultural robots, right? So they just started, they actually work with, some of you might know, Harvest Crew. So that's actually run by our first alumni and somebody who had been working with First before. And so Harvest Crew robots actually are strawberry picking robots. That's amazing. So I first reached out to them and they actually said, we don't see the connection. You get that a lot, all right? You do get that a lot. It's like, really? You don't see the connection? Okay. I'm not going to laugh because I really want your support, but we're going to keep talking. And we got them on board for $500. That's nothing, but we got them on board for $500. Okay. Wish Farms has never supported anything with robotics before, but I'm going to go back to them. Right. Also had conversation going for 2 years with Coca-Cola. Right. Dean Kamen is involved with Coca-Cola, but we can't get Coca-Cola on board. Right? We have a Coca-Cola bottling plant, one of, I don't know how many, there are not that many of them, in Tampa. And we talked and talked and talked, and they still wouldn't come through and support. It doesn't mean I'm not going to go bug them again, right? I'm going to stay after them. But we got the university's Research One, Solid Professor, which actually provides a lot of CAD and CAM educational programming for First Robotics Competition and First Tech Challenge, JP Morgan Chase. So all of these were good. Chinese Car Wash Factory actually has a ton of alumni who work there, and the company is managed by an alumni, so the factory. And then all the local businesses. We get our printing donated by a printing company who donates the programs. Then actually have some flyers over here. Those are all donated by the printing company. They're beautiful. If you have to leave, if you want to pick up the flyers, then go ahead and feel free to take that. And then all these other things on here. We also work closely with our local military base. So if there's a base near you, they want to be involved. They're a really good asset. They're really good to reach out to. Yeah, go ahead and take what you need on there. And I can't even read the print on that. It didn't come out much. Oh, yeah, so those are on the side here, which you can't see at all. Those are actually website and social media metrics. So you can go into your website and pull out, the amount of traffic. We can track how much the traffic has increased as we get close to the event, and on the social media, all that we can send right back to the different partners we work with to show them that, and then articles that come out about the event. Clear communication. So there's our agenda, team updates that go out that give the students like where you're going to park, where you're going to stay, where you're going to eat, all those good things. Where to visit, right? So visit Tampa Bay, the Visitors Bureau. They give them all these discount tickets to all sorts of stuff. And you can go and click on the Visitors Bureau and see all these different things you can do in the area. Benefits to using Eventbrite if you do it, even if you do like a social or something and you want to have people over for your team social or to introduce people to your team, use Eventbrite for your invites, right? Again, you get to gather this data, you can get more information, and then you can communicate with those folks regularly. Also, if you use Eventbrite, it automatically ends up on webcam calendars. So who else? You said you've used it, right?
Well, not only that, but people come to events simply because they search Eventbrite for what's coming up.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
a really great app.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic tool, and it's free. If you do ticketing, there are fees involved, but you can pass the fees on to people who are paying on it. Booster option. So our event is free, but we put a booster option. If you'd like to support the event, every year we get couple $100 off of boosters, just because people will pay the extra money, even when they know the event is free. If you put a booster option on there, people will use it, right? You can build in waivers. So we have to have a waiver that says, you're going to be photographed, you have to, adhere to whatever the policies are for the university arena. You can build a waiver right into Eventbrite, and that way you don't have to have anybody sign it because they have to read it and they can't even register until they have clicked through that they've read it. That's taken enormous extra, task out of our lives of not having to give everybody the waivers separately. So that's really good. So I can't say enough about Eventbrite. And then you keep it fun. So we have Barry Bonzak is in Florida, so he comes out. If you're familiar with Barry, he comes out and does a roller coaster and all the other stuff for our event. Lots of dancing in our banners, and there's Ken Johnson over in the corner. Yeah, if you need to get going, go, please by all means take some of the flyers over there. And you can reach us on there, and we're happy to help out if you want to do something in your area. And then lessons learned, don't take on more than you can handle, right? Don't do the 2-day event if you're only a 1-day event group. Keep it all together, don't sprawl. We had one of the mistakes we made the first time was we tried to do stuff in different buildings, and that became really difficult. You know how hard it is here, and if you've done other championships, if there's things in other buildings, you start losing people. So you want to keep everything in one area as much as possible. Take good care of your volunteers, make sure everybody gets fed, right? That's a big thing. Feed people in t-shirts. All volunteers who work 4 hours or more get lunch and a t-shirt.
People will do anything for a t-shirt and a sandwich.
It's true, yeah. Keep your metrics, door counts. So the University of the Sun Dome Arena keeps door counts for us because they have the turnstiles and stuff. So we can corroborate with them on door counts. Meet early and often. Use your post-event surveys and listen and act on feedback. So we actually get really good feedback from our post-event surveys to students and to sponsors and mentors and people who participate and communicate a lot. So there's resources here. Again, we'll make sure that FIRST has this and can give this out to folks. And if you wanted our cards here, we're happy to send it to you as well. You can go to our roboticon.net website and see a lot of stuff there. And there's a lot of off-seasons here. So if you're going to do an off-season event of whatever size, make sure you get on the FIRST calendar for off-seasons and that you get on the Chief Delphi calendar. So they actually have a spreadsheet there for off-season events, and teams browse it. So it's really, really good to have. And that's our group after cleaning up last year. You're all sweaty in the middle, I know.
Thank you so much for that.
I knew you'd like that one.
And I will point out that all those young people there are alumni.
Yeah,
Every one of those has gone through the program, and they've come back as college students and adults
Yeah.
to continue.
We actually have
I've never seen
60
any other organization
Yeah.
do that. That's the best thing about FIRST, is that we all stay involved.
yeah, it takes about 60 volunteers to do our event. So, and just so you can see this is this video from the Plug Hits crew. So this is a company that is run by our FIRST alumni, and they started this series.
Escape to the world of your dreams with Windows-based reality and hardware from Acer, Dell, HP.
He's got a sponsor, so we don't have to worry about that.
Escape the everyday into the world of imagination. Personalize your virtual home with great content and surround yourself with apps from 20,000 available titles. Pre-order your
Okay, you don't need the whole
So,
app. There you go.
we have a lot of students there, and some of them from FTC also come to Roboticon to experience what a competition in general is like. Okay, so Middleton School, you're the president of the robotics club, so that's involving all the competitions here at FIRST. Yes. What about more about that? So we have the 4 teams, and then our FIRST team, of course, is the biggest, with over 50 students. Wow. And then we have the 2 FTC teams, which we max out the FTC teams. We try to always have freshmen on the team so that there's more sustainability. And then we also max out our Rex team. And it's one big club, so this year what we try to do a lot is
Okay, so I won't play the whole thing. I just want to give you an idea of what they do, though, and we can play it for anybody who wants to hear the whole thing. But so the students and the fellow who runs this company will come and he'll set up a series of schedules, and teams can come and do these interviews. All these interviews for whoever participates are archived on his website, and teams can go use these videos for anything they want. They're recruitment tools for their own teams, for their sponsors. Scott knows and the other students know what questions to ask them. To get them to discuss what they do. And these videos have proven really invaluable. Actually, the first folks will probably be here next year. He's working with Michelle Long, who's going to start doing the event here as well. So it provides live coverage of the event. They have conversations about it. They talk about it. What's really cool is this is a gadget and tech review company. So you're not, unlike RoboShow and some of the other things you might have seen, it's not messaging to the community that already knows first. It's messaging out to the community that doesn't. And again, these are all available for download. Each of the teams, he lets each of the teams know when they're done. He also covers like CES and collision and stuff, but he does this as a sort of way to get back to FIRST, which is really fantastic. There are other people in your community who will do this, right? Get somebody to come over, get an alumni to run interviews, and make it a big deal to be there, and make it an event that's something that people are going to learn about. And Shane, you come out now a couple years? Like you got last year? Okay. Yeah. And how did you feel about it when you were there for bringing out and showing your stuff?
I thought it was fantastic, and the feedback that we got was great, because I think also the mindset for an off-season event, because we're part of FIRST as well. But I think that we had FMC kids coming to try out our demonstrated stuff just because it was unique. It was something different for them in between the activities of robotic climb. I think the fact that they're not having to be so focused on competition, they're quite receptive to having fun and many things.
Anybody have any questions about anything?
Is anybody second guessing starting the off season because all the information in this doesn't?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, start small. Start
Yeah.
with the skills challenge in your school cafeteria.
Yep.
Build up relationships with your businesses, build up relationships with your teams. This is the culmination of 6 years.
Yeah.
So it doesn't jump out and be in the Sun Dome with, Rockwell Collins and huge sponsors. It starts out small and it builds momentum organically.
Yeah, so we had 30 teams in our first year,
Yeah.
so, it wasn't, but why we think that this was important is because we want you to know that what it can do and what it can be. And it's a tool, it's a really, really good tool. I'm amazed, I did not expect when we started this 6 years ago to become the kind of tool that it is. So again, it's remarkable. The first wants to see more of these, that's why we're here. They want to see ways that we're engaging with the public more often. So, yes.
So when along the journey did you establish the permanent, you've got like a permanent field set up now?
Yes, that's happening this summer.
This summer?
So that started in motion probably a couple of years ago. And it's because I'm tired of renting the field was one. It's like a really big have our own field in our area. And fields are challenging because as the program's grown, it's hard to reserve a field. So we couldn't even reserve Candy Mark last year because we really wanted to, because we like, it comes with the whole
So
package.
you bought your own and you have a place where
We're
it's
having-
set up?
Right, so we're going to actually have the field set up in a location co-located with another manufacturing company. And then we're going to be running pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs there. There will be places for students to come and do, and we have a flyer up there for it.
And then you move that field to the
But, yeah,
event.
right, so it's only not that far. It's,
Yeah.
30 minutes or whatever. So it comes with the custom crates and everything.
And that's an important thing too. If anybody's ever done field setup, after that thing's been to 3 or 4 events, you got to get the big mallet out. And it's a big. Our field is going to be beautiful. And it's
Yeah.
not going to be abused by people all over
Last
the
year
country.
we got the
So
field.
it's going to go together and come apart really
Right,
nice.
so last season we got the field from first, because that was unfinished resource field, and that was actually our big clincher, it's like, we gotta get our
Deciding
field.
moment. Yeah.
We got the field, and we had problems the year before, because it's just been through so much by the time you get it. We got it, and portions of the drive station were missing on both sides, the field wouldn't even stand up. And so we're scrambling at the last minute, we've got 60 teams coming on, 35 first robotics competition teams coming in, and we're having to hold the field up, and we have an alumni at midnight at his mentors machining parts for the field, right? You don't want to do that. That was kind of a nightmare. We were, by then, pretty seasoned in what we were doing, but if that's your first year, you get a field like that, it's like, that's heart attack time. So, if you could do it at a smaller scale, if your district is not so bad, right, because you can get the field usually nearby, or you get like Georgia has like 6 fields now or something. But if you don't, then having your own field or at least being able to plan early, that's the other thing too. So the earlier, if you are going to use the first or Candy Mark field, the sooner you can get a date to them, right after this ends, the sooner you can, better your chances are of getting a field.
We had a shipping problem one year where things shifted.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, things were bent. You have volunteers, which volunteers are great, but they're also volunteers. They're not professional loaders. They're not professional riggers. So things don't go in the truck as well
Or
as a professional
the
would.
shipping company loads it badly.
The shipping company loads it badly, or they just don't really care. So we ended up with some things that were smashed, and we're out there like, oh, what do we do?
Yeah, the year before, all
Avoid
the
those
electronics
nightmares
were smashed.
anytime you can.
Everything shifted in the container truck, and everything was smashed, and we're, talking the first, and overnighting this electronic equipment, and, but then you have to have people who know what they're doing to set it all up.
So then you've got the basic field, but then each year you have to buy
We have to buy or make the game now.
field unique
And we'll
stuff.
probably be
Or make it,
we'll probably be
we'll probably make them
manufacturing
this year. Again, it's off-season, so why put more stress on yourself than you need to?
Right.
It doesn't have to run with all the bells and whistles, right? And you make that clear to the people who are participating a lot. We always have the one, I mean, it's never students. I will say it's rarely students, it's almost always an adult. who get upset because, something didn't work right, or it's like, but it's an off-season, we want you here to have fun, we really want your students to be going to these, talks on how to use GitHub and CAM and CAD, and, that's what you should really be doing. And talking to this, to these nice recruitment people who want you to come to the college, or might want to employ you at NASA or whatever. So, please don't stress over the field. So we need to keep the focus on what's important here. And again, having the ambassador students is a really good opportunity to talk to different sponsors and stuff. So. But you can make game elements.
Yeah.
It's not a.
We get hung up on the game. The game's fun, the game is the bait that gets us here, but really it's not about robots. It's about teamwork, it's about
We know that.
mistake.
We all know that.
So getting hung up on, oh my God, the field didn't score properly is like the least important thing in an off-season. Getting kids together, having fun, and showing what we do to the world
The
outside.
one thing I will say that everybody universally gets really wants in an off-season, you want to see the scores. That's this big thing. They all want to see the scores projected. And so that's been our, it's like, okay, we're just going to have somebody out there holding up their fingers. You got 10
We're
scores.
going to do the old school, like at the ball field with the numbers on there.
There's your score.
Actually, last year was the first year that we actually had.
So we're able to have the score.
Yeah.
And you have to work with the agreements, you have to be able to work with the electronics here, and all that stuff. So. Anything else? Anybody have?
We're doing our very first off-season event in Leach,
Where?
in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's
Okay.
going to be in conjunction with the Secret City Festival.
Nice.
Oak Ridge is the beginning of the Manhattan Project. So we've got some support, some companies that are willing to pitch in and have the sponsorships taken care of, what do you think, for what it's going to cost? What do you warn us about? What are this thing's going to jump up and bite you that we don't even know about?
We don't know. So are you doing like the full off-season with the full FRC
The
field?
full off-season, we have it reserved for Myanmar.
Okay. Do you have an FTA? Did you get the FTA?
We will get an FTA.
Get an FTA.
We've got some folks.
Yep, we're ready, FTA.
First Tennessee,
First, yeah.
First Tennessee
Right.
is really into this. So
Good.
they've got the event on their website. They're helping to,
So make sure it gets on the first website.
they got stuff with resources and stuff. So I think
And you've invited, how many students how many teams can you accommodate?
we're going to try to shoot for 2025.
Okay. So that's a lot, it's only one day?
2 days.
2 days,
Friday
right?
and Saturday.
Okay.
Well, we actually have 2 gyms at the high school, so we're going to use the competition gym for the competition and the other gym for the quiz. And they're accessible by a tunnel, we go lots of that and forth. So I feel like we've got things sort of going, but I just have this feeling there's something I don't know.
There's always something. Do you have a lot of volunteers? How many volunteers? Have you recruited volunteers?
That is underway. We have the full list of volunteers from Smoky Mountain Regional.
Okay.
which is 25
Yeah, the
miles
sooner,
away.
when is your event? When is it?
June.
Whoa,
7th,
that's close.
8th, 9th. Yeah, it's early.
Yeah.
So one of the best things you can do to make the event smooth is volunteers are good, but recruit key volunteers.
Yeah.
You need somebody who understands power distribution. You need somebody who understands PA and audio visual stuff. You need somebody who's at least seen a field before, so they know how it's going to go together. Somebody with good tool background that if you do have a minor flaw on the field can come up with a state-of-the-shelf solution. Lots of duct tape and zip ties.
Yeah.
I think we have those taken care
Cool.
of.
Yeah, and our trophies,
And
I
the
mean,
school board
yeah.
is in full support because I'm one of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
There
there
you
you go.
Our tech director is following me on Twitter to see how we do every match. She's totally into it. The superintendent's excited, and we've already had several meetings between school staff and city staff, and those of us are trying to tie everything together.
The only thing the biggest issue that I would see is probably having, like, you run into normal scheduling match problems when the field breaks down, or you have electronic problems, or, that could throw you off with a lot of teams on a 2-day event the first year. So possibly, where they're not getting the number of matches, so I would pace myself and not promise a lot of matches, in case you offer a reason. Yeah, right.
Set it up, and I
Right.
guess one good option there is
Yeah.
if we have any problems that are going to take a couple of hours to fix,
Right.
it's
simulator
in
shaking.
conjunction with this festival that's right across.
Yeah, that's
the
kind of
street.
nice, yeah.
So it's like, okay, guys, we're gonna have to take an hour break, why don't you go across the
Right.
street and listen to the band that's playing?
Right, yeah. And I was gonna say, these are the trophies, these are like $5 trophies. We're not doing
Yeah.
really big stuff on here, you know.
One of the things we do if there's a break in time where we do something is encourage dancing.
Yep.
We always
Yeah,
have-
yeah,
DJs
always
should
dance
always
break.
have cotton eye
Just
shows,
like
you
anywhere
know.
else, you know.
An MC that knows when to break into the wave and
Right.
do something silly to stretch his time when you have
Right.
a problem.
So we do like a welcome table at the beginning, when you come in. I would make sure you have a lot of handout materials from first, right? So you can give it out to guests. So we have the welcome table where we have the programs for the event, first information. If there's first vistas in your area, have the first vistas be there. So recruit as much of your first staff, or people who are in Tennessee as possible. And then we set up the sponsors on the sides here, so that, you know, there were people there for them to talk to. There's Ken Johnson talking to our folks there. So that's our volunteer luncheon area. And that's our setup. So there you can see it, and you can see the pits around the outside, and then the game in the center. And so we've got First Tech Challenge. First Tech Challenge is over here, and we have First Light Building on that side. All the FRC pits are on the back.
First Tech Challenge is a little challenging because it's the beginning of the year. They just,
Right.
the beginning of the season, they just introduced what the game is. The kids that attend, they only have maybe 3 weeks or so.
Are you just doing FRC, or are you having some displays for the other programs as well?
Well, actually, the FTC and FLL are going to be displaying over at the
Good,
festival.
okay.
in technology.
Nice, yeah.
So they're involved, but they're not going to be in the same venue.
You might want to stick 1 or 2 in there anyway, just so, because that way they'll see them together, you know, just even a couple tables or something.
FLL junior kids are adorable.
They are,
always make
yeah.
a better event. People love to
So you can see the
them. They're so
stanchions,
enthusiastic.
you can see the stanchions there where we have the tour area going around the pits. We're actually just setting it up there. Yeah. Yeah. Our helpers. But we got a good draw. I mean, you know, we get a good crowd there, which is really nice, and we're expecting, you know, we want to keep seeing it grow. And again, the university is great about, you know, letting us use a lot of the resources there. That we had the food issue at first where you couldn't bring food in, and then last year they said we can bring water in, so we were able to bring water in. So you know, we keep working those out. That was one of the roundtable discussions. I forget what that one was.
Do you sell food or does the university?
No, the university does. We can't sell anything there. Our old one, we actually were able to do, the old venue that we used, we were actually able to do, on the Sunday, we had a team, what do we call it? Where we let the team sell stuff as fundraisers.
Yeah.
So they could reserve a table in advance. I think we charged them like $10. It was like a flea market, like a white elephant sale, so the teams could set up. This arena won't let them sell anything. So they have this strict, you need 40%. It's like, okay, they're selling like cookies, you know? But in the other one, they let them sell stuff. Did you guys actually ran $2?
We had our Oculus Rift set up, so we were like, you know, $2 for 2 minutes on the Oculus Rift. We have a vinyl cutter in our makerspace, so we did a lot of vinyl cutout stickers. This was when the Pokemon Go hit, so we did the teams for the Pokemon Go. You know, there again, you know, you can always ask for a handout, but when the kids have some skin in the game on the fundraiser, it's a lot more of a learning thing. You
Yeah,
know?
do the mascot parade. I mean, do all the stuff that they really enjoy. You know, as far as getting the public interested and engaged, to make sure you have a DJ who has a great playlist. We've had problems with.
Yes.
Whoops.
One of our alumni was the DJ for Smoking Operations. So
Yeah.
we'll probably get you the
Right, yeah, but make sure you-
Exactly.
Exactly, right. But, you know, having that is really important. We ended up with, you know, on Sunday, because First Light League pulled out, because they only do one day. First Light League and First Tech Challenge just do Saturday. And then we start matches on Saturday in the afternoon for FRC, and then wrap up on Sunday. That's how we do it. So they have practice and you know, inspections and that kind of stuff, basic inspections, mostly practice on Saturday in the morning. And then most of the attention is on First Light League. So what we, First Light League and First Tech Challenge, so what we did last year is we got MCs at each of the other groups. So we had an FLL announcer, we had an FTC announcer, we had an FTC announcer. It's like a three-ring circus. But then we had this unofficial dance floor. It's like, oh, we're going to keep that as a dance floor for this year because that worked out really well. You can see them all. It actually was perfect because they could still play the game and these guys were over dancing on the side. We do a small banner, like a 3-foot banner. It costs, I think, like $8 or $10 or something for a small Roboticon banner. You'd think we'd given people gold when they get it. So the county does a proclamation every year. They've done this forever. Every year they come out, the county commissioner comes out and they declare Roboticon month in Tampa Bay. You can request that for almost anything in your community. You just reach out to your commissioners or your however your local government set up and say you want a proclamation for whatever event or whatever you want to do. And they love doing proclamations. That is a feel-good thing for county commissioners and local government. Really easy. They just tell them what you want. They even confer with you on the language of your proclamation. So you can do it for this event. They don't even need that much lead time for it usually.
Don't come out to the event.
And then they come out, it's like because it's all free. And the commissioner will usually stand out there. And even if they can't come, they usually give it to you, and then we sit there with like the dean of the school and read it off to everybody. So, yeah, there it is there. And they all sign it. It's kind of cool. And there's one of our MCs. And it's also a really good opportunity for, we have all these students who always want to call the games, who want to be game announcers, but they never get to do it. Perfect place, we have game announcement tryouts, come and do it one, all game matches, right? And we actually identify a lot of good volunteers that way, people who haven't done it before, we get to actually try it for the first time.
Your game announcer is one of the most important roles in an event. I don't know how many times I've been there and seen somebody yelling at the kids like they're kids and everybody, nobody responds to that. We were at an event and this guy was up there all officious, and then we had one of our alumni step in because, surprise, his throat was getting sore. And this kid steps up, unassuming, says, okay, everybody, and it got quiet instantly. So having a good announcer who's calm and makes it fun and doesn't sound like a school marm is definitely a good thing.
Yeah. But it's a really good opportunity for people to try things. And I think we're at an hour, so I have to wrap up here. But thank you all again. If you have any questions, we've got robotic consoles. Out-of-state teams are welcome to join in. It's not expensive. It's a lot of fun. So if you want to come and check out Florida in the fall.
Out of the country, too.
Yeah.
I mean, being in Florida, we're close to the theme parks, so the Chinese were glad.